Hiya Toys. Have you heard about them? I'm sure you have. It's not like every G fan on the surface of the earth talks about them. In case you're not in the know, Hiya Toys is a Chinese company that has now started making Godzilla figures with either their Exquisite Stylist series, which is the statues, or their Exquisite Basic series, which is their articulation figures. And they have produced some really good results, such as these. The exclusive Burning Godzilla, the variant of the Mothra, and their Skullcrawler. And yes, I do have number 10 as well, but I just prefer the original. For me personally, I would say nowadays that I am much more of a Haya fan over SH Monstars. I think even though some of them are lacking a little bit of articulation, I still think they are the superior figures that you can buy. And recently, for their Godzilla x Kong line, have you heard about that movie? It's not like I've talked about it 20 times on this channel. They've started releasing figures for the Godzilla x Kong line, like the pre-evolved Godzilla and the energized Godzilla. We really haven't gotten much else until recently, because now people are finally starting to get their Hiya Shimos in hands. In hand. And specifically, well, I guess you could say both the Stylist and the Basic Shimo, but people are more so focusing right now on the Exquisite Basic Shimo, which is the articulated version. And people are really liking the Exquisite Basic Shimo. She looks great, is mostly size accurate, has great articulation, and is a good price. And personally, I really like her as well. However, okay, wait, stop, hold on. However, I do have a couple of things that I personally would like to say about this figure because while I think she is the superior option, for me personally, and this is gonna be career ruining, I personally think the Hiya Shimo is a bit underwhelming. From the promo photos and the in-hand review photos that I've been seeing online recently, I don't know. There's just something about this figure that doesn't quite hit the mark for me. Now, also, to be fair, I don't exactly have the figure yet as of recording this intro. So, with that being said, I would say let's just go ahead and get into the unbox segment right after a new intro. Take it away, Shadow.
Chaos control. Stay hydrated, fakers.
And here we are. The figure has finally shipped to me. Yeah, this figure, we already know who's going to be in here, the Hiya Shimo. Well, okay, I wanted to make sure. I hadn't checked the back. I didn't know if my address was on there. And that's another thing. Kids, always make sure to cover your address. Unlike a certain streamer that I gifted Godzilla figures to, and he almost revealed my location. Thanks for that, Chris. No, just kidding. So yeah, the Hiya Shimo started shipping my way, and then for some reason it said that it got shipped all the way back to China. So it just basically went back and forth and then back again. But regardless, it's here now and it's little damaged, which I'm a little worried about that, which that's another thing. You know, I bought this, let's see. Yeah, I bought this from Hiya Toys, as I've bought all of my Haya releases. And for the most part, their shipping is good, but also Hiya, you gotta work on your shipping with like handling and carrying for these things, because this is probably the most beat up box that I've gotten from them. But, you know, as long as the figure's fine, that's all we need to care about. So, I would say, let's stop beating around the bush and get finally into this figure. I've been waiting. So, for this momentous occasion, let's get the cool knife out today, and let's go ahead and get started. So I figured, as I've done with all my unboxings, do a little rain check on you guys. Hope you guys are doing good. Springtime is here, and the weather is finally starting to warm up. So that's nice, which also means that summer's coming, and also G-Fest, ooh. But I will also make a special announcement, since I don't think I have ever mentioned this on the channel, but I'm going to All Monsters Attack in May. So basically that's about like 2 or 3 weeks away from now, and I'm gonna be going with Chris, Lewis, and Getty. Oh my God, there we go. And yeah, and I'll be making a video on it, and that'll be lots of fun. It'll be a lot of fun. That'll be my first All Monsters Attack that I'm going to. So yeah, be on the lookout for a video like that in the future. And yeah, here we go. All right, I see like a QR code there, so I might have to cover that up. But what is that? It just seems like some writing. Oh, you can already see here the Hiya Shimo. Oh. Take a look in there. Very nice. All right, let's get her out of her bubble wrap prison. There we go. Let's see, where'd the paper go? Oh, it's just manual stuff on the back. Okay. Also, one positive that I will say about Calcus, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I can say about them that are positive, but one good thing is this is some of the best bubble wrap I think that you can ship for figures. But anyways, y'all don't care about the bubble wrap, y'all care about none other than the Haya Exquisite Basic Shimo. And honestly, that box is actually a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. I would say that's probably a little bit bigger than the SH Monster Shimo. Actually, let me just check real quick. Let me go into my closet of wonders while y'all look at that. Is it this one? Yes. So yeah, as you can see here, this box is just ever so slightly bigger than the SH Monster Shimo. So that's actually pretty promising. So yeah, let's get this back out of the way. Doing a lot of moving around for this one. Hold on, let me get back here. Okay, here we go. So yeah, here is the box for Shimo. And just looking at it, it's a pretty neat box. I do kind of wish they did something a little different for Shimo. Like I think if they did a pose of like how she looks in her first appearance with the chains and whatnot, I think that would have been cool. But I guess also that would have been false advertising because she doesn't come with the chains, but it would have been cool. Regardless, I think it works. But yeah, enough about the box. Let's get into it. I would say regardless of my kind of differing opinions from the fandoms about this girl, I would say that I still am pretty excited because this is the first Hiya Toys release for Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire that, put that away for now. This is the first Hiya Toys release for Godzilla x Kong that isn't a Godzilla mold reuse. This is completely new. And this is like one of their more unique monsters that they've made. They've finally started branching out. But anyways. All right, let's put that box right there for now. All right, just looking at her right here through the little slits that I can see clearly. All right. Maybe I was a little bit wrong about the size. Maybe I thought she was a little, maybe she actually is the good size. Because from what I've seen from the photos, she looked just a little too small to me. But honestly, pretty good start so far. But yeah, let's see. Always get that nice wrap around. Huh? Ooh, that kind of sounded weird. That nice wrap around the figure. Let's pull her out. Ooh, she's, sorry, Chris. She's hefty. She's a big old girl. Ooh, hold on. Let me just, let me put this down. She's kind of a little strange looking right there for some reason. But yeah, let me put this back up. No accessories with this figure, which, I think it's fine. I don't really care, honestly. For $50, I think it's okay to not get accessories with this one. Do I think we'll get like an atomic variant? I guess an ice breath variant. I think so. I would like that. So yeah, I guess we can just put her box right there for now. So yeah, let's get her all repositioned and whatnot. Ooh, if I can see. Hang on, let me, quick little intermission, and we'll skip to whenever I have a better pose for her. So, and here we go. I got her in a little bit of a better pose because she's a little like that in the box. So repositioned her around to look more nice, and one of the arm sockets popped on me, and it made it really, like it popped to where I could articulate it more, and that was really concerning for a second. But here she is. Move the box out of the way for a second. Here's our main girl, the Hiya Toys Shimo from Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. And just taking a look at this figure right now, I don't know, man. I think my opinions are changing just a little bit. I'm gonna wait a couple days to play around with her and see how she moves and whatnot before I give, like, you know, my final opinions on this figure. But honestly, she looks gorgeous. Like, don't get me wrong. She's very, very film accurate, and she has a lot of heft to her as well. Sorry, Chris. She has a lot of heft to her. This is a bulky figure for sure. And I think the size has been a little underplayed in most reviews. She actually is quite a very large figure. And I guess now is the obligatory comparison that everyone's been waiting for. So let me get her. And here we go. The moment everyone's been waiting for. The Hiya Toys Shimo versus the SH Monster Shimo. And honestly, looking at it now, I thought that the Hiya Shimo was going to be way too small. But really, I think actually her size, my opinions on her size has changed. I actually think she's fine. Like, I actually don't have any real gripes with the size itself. I would say she's probably, I think the tail on the SH Monster Shimo is longer, which I do appreciate that, but everything else size-wise is actually fine. Like, I'm actually really okay with it. So yeah, I mean, just putting the SH Monster Shimo away for a little bit. First impressions, I really like the sculpt a lot more than I thought I would. From what I saw from like everyone's reviews, I wasn't like the biggest fan of how the sculpt looked for some strange reason. Like, it looks good, but there was something about it to me where I was just like, what is going on here? But looking at it now, I think it looks fine. One immediate pro over the SH Monstars is, look at that, a fully closed mouth. Look at that, and then look at the SH Monstars. Night and day difference. Amazing. Absolutely love that. Yeah, I personally still say that I would have preferred if these two spikes were just like a tad bit taller, like more like yay high like this, but it's okay. Like, it's such a nothing gripe that I'm like, it's okay. I'm quite okay with this figure. So yeah, I would say, let's put them side by side. I would say that's going to conclude the unboxing segment. So now we're going to fast forward to a couple days to kind of, so that way I have a little bit of time to kind of garner my opinions on this figure. And yeah, let's just fast forward to that, shall we? Alrighty, so one thing that I did want to point out is usually with the figures with more stiff articulation, I would just recommend soaking them in some hot water. And usually what I do as well is just leave the tail out there so that way it doesn't get wobbly. So I usually do this with some of my Haya figures, like I did it with 2014, and I also did it with this guy right here. Yeah, don't you remember that time, huh? Don't you remember whenever you used to be in the Sizzler, don't you? I would just recommend this because this loosens up the articulation a little bit, and it doesn't really hurt the figure from my experience personally. So yeah, once she's done soaking in her warm bath, we'll get to a posing session. So yeah, let's just get to that. So let's break this figure down. First, we'll go into sculpt. I will say, pinpoint accuracy with this figure to the film. The Hiya Shimo looks like she stepped straight out of the film. She looks beautiful. And one of the most interesting things about this figure in terms of its sculpt, and I don't know if this is because of the sculpt or if it's because of the paint, but if you feel around with this figure, some of the scales on her, especially the larger ones, are very smooth, almost like slick. I've never had a figure like that before in my collection where it has that type of texture. It is awesome. But what else can I say about this figure? It just looks great. She looks like she stepped right out of the film. All the details are there, all the way down to the toes. It is amazing. And one of the key things that I will point out with the sculpt is the unique engineering for its articulation. Especially in the torso, you'll notice these weird lines that go down her back, and those are for better crunch articulation, and they work perfectly for this figure. I do personally, well, I'll go into articulation here in a little bit. And now let's go into painting, which this is one of my big complaints with this figure. And this is just a personal preference for me, but I'm not the biggest fan of the shade of white that they used for her skin. I do wish she was just a tiny bit more whiter than she is, but I think that's just personally a nitpick for me. It's accurate, don't get me wrong, and it still looks great, but I'm going to personally give her a slight whitewash to her skin just to make that skin pop out more with the crystals. And that's another thing. Let's go into the crystals. Originally, I didn't like the darker blues that they used for the crystals on her back, but after looking at it more and more as the days go by, I would say my opinions are I'm warming up to the coloration on her crystals and whatnot, and I think they look gorgeous. As for the articulation, it is much better than I thought. I still think it could use some work, but thankfully I have a buddy, and he's appeared multiple times on this channel, and he will continue to appear. Timeless Productions, he's going to be modding my Shimo here soon because I'm going to be sending my copy over for him to mod the articulation more to where she can crunch up and down more, look up and down more, etc. Slight little nitpick, but I'm going to have it fixed soon, so it's not that big of a deal. Regardless of that, she still has some great articulation on her. I think Haya is getting better and better with their articulation with every new release that they're doing. And I feel like they're only going to get better and better because she can pull off some amazing poses. It is on par, if not in some circumstances, better than the SH Monster Arts. And especially since now they're about to start releasing figures for their Heisei line of Godzilla figures with Godzilla 1991, I think? Correct me if I'm wrong, post-editing Sizemic. And also their Heisei Ghidorah, which in-hand photos of that are starting to pop up and it looks gorgeous. And now let's move on to my biggest gripe with this figure, the size. I do think the size is pretty good for this figure, but for me personally, I do wish she was a tiny bit bigger. I think if her size was just slightly upscaled more, I think that would help the figure much more. Just a slight upscale would help, and that's why I'm hoping that a 2.0 Shimo does come out in the future with better scale and slightly upgraded articulation, specifically in the torso and maybe the tail a little bit more. So here's a quick size comparison of the Hiya Shimo with a couple of other Haya releases along with some SH Monster Arts releases. And here's the obligatory SH Monster Arts Shimo and Hiya Shimo comparison with their size. Surprisingly, these two are about the same size. It's just that the SH Monster Arts Shimo just has a slightly longer tail, but that's all it has over it, and her crystal spikes on her back are slightly taller. But really, they're about the same size in terms of the body and head and whatnot. And I will say, looking at the Hiya Shimo now, it is definitely interesting to see how exaggerated the proportions are on the SH Monster Arts. Looking at these two side by side, it definitely gives the SH Monster Arts a bad look. I will say that. So, what are my final thoughts on this figure? Do I think she's underwhelming? Do I hate her? Is this Haya's first L? No, and no. She is definitely the best Shimo figure that you can get on the market right now, without question. The more and more that I have her in my collection, the more and more she grows on me. And yes, she does sit on the main shelf now. The SH Monster Arts Shimo has been moved and relegated to a different shelf. My overall rating on this figure, 9 out of 10, without question. I think if it was going to be a 10 out of 10, the size would just have to be a tiny bit bigger, and she would have to have slightly better neck and torso articulation. And even with those small complaints, I would definitely recommend the Hiya Shimo over the SH Monster Arts. This is the better alternative without question. And it was absolutely worth the wait, and I cannot wait for more unique releases from Haya, especially with like the new sculpts that they're doing with like the Heisei Goji, Heisei Ghidorah, GMK, Godzilla 2000, Scylla, and especially their new Kong that's coming out. There's a lot of new stuff that Haya is doing recently, and I'm excited to see it, and I can only hope that we can get even more unique releases from Haya in the future, like hell, a Mega Gyrus, a Tiamat, an Orga, Titanosaurus, you know, these unique and nice sculpts, and I cannot wait to see how they articulate them. So coming up on the final bits of this video, and how I feel personally about this whole experience, I'm not surprised that I changed my mind. I knew that I was more than likely going to change my mind on this figure when I got her in. It was just the fact that I think people don't do the figures justice online, or more so they just don't articulate them and push that articulation to its limits. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm not surprised I changed my mind because I absolutely love this figure. But let me know what you guys think of this figure and my opinions. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you like the Hiya Shimo? Do you hate her? I am a channel who advocates to think however you want to, as long as it does not harm anybody in the real world. So give me your guys' honest opinion on this figure. I would love to hear about it. I will say this is probably going to be the last serious figure review that I do on this channel for a little bit, because I want to do some different topics and some more unique videos in the future. I do have a video on the Haya Skull Island Kong that I'm going to be making soon, so that could be considered a figure review, but it's going to be more or less talking about what on earth happened with this figure, because he looks nothing like he does in the film. So look out for that video soon. But yeah, that's going to be the end of this video for now. I knew that I was going to have to make the obligatory Haya versus SH Monster Arts Shimo video, and it was fun making it. I'm glad I did it. But for now, I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to enjoy this figure. Oh yeah, also, before I end off this review, I do want to say that I did get the SH Monster Arts Mothra and Suko in the mail while recording this video, so I guess for one final thing, let's do a lightning review on them. Overall, this 2-pack does get like an 8 out of 10 because the SH Monstarts Mothra has a great sculpt. It's the exact same from King of the Monsters, but I do love the paint on this one so much more. Like, yeah, the wings look printed on, but I don't really care because the detail on them is immaculate. The articulation is the exact same and whatnot. It's the same release, but just done slightly better. And as for Suko, pretty neat little figure. I like the sculpt surprisingly, and I do like the paint. I think the articulation is actually pretty good, regardless of those very apparent pins. And as for size, I think this is SH Monstar's smallest release that they've done. Maybe a little Godzilla, but I don't know. So yeah, overall, it is a very expensive 2-pack, but I do like them. So yeah, solid 8.5 out of 10. So, wow, a little lightning review in there, huh? Anyways. With that, I'm Sizemic. Subscribe if you're interested, drink plenty of water, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Peace out!
Yo, Monster Zero here. Go subscribe to Sizemic right now. That's my guy.